Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and surprise on a Sunday. I know I said I'd see you or talk to you on Monday. However, not long after I said that and finished that message, did I feel the nudge that, no, you're going to be right back there tomorrow, girl. So I don't know what you talk about. I didn't really know why I felt that way, but lo and behold, I posted the message yesterday that turned kind of into a Mercury retrograde type of vibe, right? And with some other twists and turns, but primarily that was the topic. And then, of course, so on brand for me and my Sagittarius sun, I went back after I spoke and then did some reading and research on the retrograde. And I just wanted to just add a few things. I definitely stand by every single thing that I said in that message. So definitely check it out, because this Mercury retrograde, as the title says, is one for the books. So everything I said stands. And what I wasn't keen on at that time is that Sagittarius, the Mercury retrogrades back into Sagittarius on December 23rd. So it's in Capricorn right now, and it'll be in Sagittarius by the 23rd, which is, of course, obviously right in time for your holiday celebrations and Christmas itself. And it'll be there throughout the rest of that time up until the 1st of January, right? So one thing that I had said is that from my perspective, and as I said, I still stand by it, is that the intensity should wane off, I believe, when Mercury transits back into Sagittarius. Now, technically, and even I know this because I spoke about, Gemini being my sister sign, which means it's the opposite of me. I know that Mercury is in its detriment in Sagittarius for the most part. Yet and still, I feel like the intensity, which from what I've read, from one particular source, they're suggesting that it may actually intensify on the latter end than what it is at this moment. I just feel like it's a matter of perception, maybe cosmically so, but as I spoke from the very beginning and when we first started this transit, that I feel like this is going to be a different Mercury retrograde that can't really be contained by the conventionalities of our previous experiences. So I feel like it's a matter of your perspective as you're in this. First of all, as I spoke about, had already prepared or been preparing yourself for some great shifts and turns and twists, not knowing when they were coming or how they were coming, there's a certain groundedness that had you have already been settled for it. It really doesn't matter what comes your way at this point. Like, you're almost welcoming the shift itself because you know it's time to kind of forge ahead into something different. More or less, those of us that have been anticipating change and looking forward to it don't feel all that gratified by things just going on business as usual, because that's not really what incites the shift, right? So I truly feel, as I said, there's going to be a polarity, perhaps a duality to some degree, as to how this transit is experienced, embodied, expressed, responded to, expelled in some way, shape, or form. But ultimately, I still very much so stand by what I said, that if you're thugging it out now, all you got to do is just stay focused and grounded, and the rest is just par for the course. The intensity, I think, is most effective in the fact that, again, as I said, it's at a weird time where you're almost in this obligatory spirit of togetherness, going to families' houses, going to Christmas parties, going out and shopping, and and you're amongst other people that may or may not be in tune with the cosmic flow, and having to contend with your response to it and theirs, and the whole cosmic order, you know what I mean? So that's where more of the tension comes into play. But I also spoke much about that as well. If you haven't caught all my messages this week, I would say definitely tune in, because one in particular, and I can't even remember which one, I talked about releasing yourself from the obligation of feeling like you gotta be in the place to be, or you have to adhere to the expectations on your presence throughout the season, that maybe this just isn't the season for you to move in that capacity to, show up, because your presence is desired. Maybe you need to stay home and take care of yourself, or just let the dust settle, or maybe particularly another aspect that I didn't account for is that on the 27th, Mercury will be in opposition to Neptune, which I did speak about Neptune being a contributing factor to now the dust and the haze and the illusion, of the dreamlike state that we've been in to some degree dissipating. So it doesn't glaze over some of the worst of the worst. It's like you see everything plain as day for exactly what it is. So that's on the 27th, moving into the new year. So we talking Christmas, or whatever holiday you do or don't celebrate, but just being in the midst of this season in general. And then, of course, everybody more or less recognizes New Year's Eve and going into the new year. So anything that any environment that you may find yourself thrust into, even if it's work or leisure or party, celebration, family, friends, just going to the grocery store, I feel like if there's anything to be mindful of, it's that there's an intensity building cosmically that, of course, we're all impressionable by humanistically, humanly, I guess. I don't know if humanistic is the word, but humanly, we're all susceptible to and expressing on our own accord. But ultimately, if you are prepared in such a way, and I feel like my message is more direct for those that are. I posted a video today that says, "I can't do nothing for you, man," old Public Enemy song. And it's like there's to some degree, I'm one that wants to help everybody. I want to speak to every end of the spectrum, but for the most part, I gotta stay focused to those that get it, that get me, that understand where I'm coming from already, that there's already a synergy therefore in terms of a spiritual perspective, and that are again already in preparation for change and looking forward to it, however, come what may type of energy. I pray for anything and anyone else outside of that, outside of that flow. But as far as what I expressed about this retrograde, and of course, depending on, how these transits hit your chart uniquely, is always, considerable. But for the most part, I perceive it to be something that you have to look forward to. Like, what is that? Forge into the night? I don't know what that means. Or forge, something about, it's like, it sounds like a poem or something that I may have read at once upon a time, or something, something conventional, that like some conventional saying, but I'm not really sure. I have to look that up, and if I find it, I'll post that down below or on the community tab. But it's just about forging ahead, go something into the night. I don't know. Now that's striking me right now. Whatever it may be, and in this regard, I don't feel like there's any darkness really to anticipate. Everything is illuminating what's been dark and obscure and mystique and illusionary to some degree, even the delusions within us of what we've subscribed to. It's time for us to forge ahead into that light. And maybe perhaps it is blinding almost to an extent, as I spoke about in the message yesterday, like adjusting your eyes to a new spectacle in some way, shape, or form. And there was one more thing, and then I'll pull a couple cards. There was one more thing that I don't think I completed my thought on when I was talking about the energy between Gemini and Sagittarius in terms of information. I kind of started with Gemini, but I think I got distracted in bringing it together with Sagittarius and what that means for this transit. So I was saying that Gemini, more or less, they love information, and it's sometimes, it's not useless to them, and oftentimes it will come up, in some constructive way at their expense, or for someone else that they're involved with. But I was saying that a lot of times they're just like storehouses of info, whereas Sagittarius, that opposite sign, is more lustful for knowledge of that is uniquely or particularly pertaining to whatever they find valuable, whether it be valuable for their own personal advancement, their life enhancement, what piques their passionate interest. It usually serves some distinct purpose. Otherwise, they definitely aren't interested in storing a whole bunch of extra info, particularly no small details, you know what I mean? Because there's just too much to do and too many people to see to be worried about things that don't have a direct impact. So where I think that comes together is that we're being flooded with this retrograde, of course, Mercury being the ruling sign, we're being flooded with a lot of information, for our human beings to process. And for some, it can be a bit overwhelming or just like almost an overload of an upload to some degree. But I think the synergy with it being with the transiting through Capricorn first and then back into Sagittarius, as I said, helping you to kind of establish a philosophy, a personal philosophy, is that Sagittarian energy can help you to disseminate or dissect of all of the plethora of, the expansiveness of the intel that you may have to work with, what pertains to your life most effectively and efficiently, what's real, what matters in real time. I think I actually did say Sagittarius will help you make it make sense. And I also had a Freudian slip to say Sagittarius is I know, but and then I was talking about seeing, so that was just a slip, but it's about seeing the truth, to be having your eye open, particularly your third eye, to see the things that are even beyond visible, particularly within your subconscious, as I talked about mind control and what's been manning your control panel from a spiritual and a human perspective. So all that to say is that as much of the overload or the revelation of it all may be like a kind of like a intensity to your mind's eye, literally between Sagittarius and Gemini, right? Like a flush to the mind's eye. Maybe that's the adjustment that I'm really talking about when I keep saying like you got to adjust your eyes. It's probably more your mind's eye than it actually is your physical eye. Maybe a little bit of both, because in these revelations you'll finally come to see that what you have been seeing from a very visual, physical perspective may be out of alignment with what you're perceiving from your mind's eye, what's being revealed to you as the higher truth, the ultimate truth, dare I say. So to finish that thought, there may be a lot of information, a great deal of intel, and I even talked about how you might feel an incitement or eagerness to like want to do something with it or want to take charge, with it being in Capricorn first, and really almost like with that Saturn energy, really wanting to take control over what you're perceiving, and then of course what response needs to be taken, let alone the impulse to want to control the external environment outside of that to bend to your will. Don't do that. That's a road to self-destruction, which is probably where the temptation for contempt lies most. Be with the information, the revelations that you're privy to, allow it to integrate fully into your being, whether it be your first eye, your physical eyes, your sensations, your emotional intelligence, all of the above, and allow yourself to flow with the current even throughout the rest of the year. The only thing that you really get to do, or perhaps even actually need to do, is just to protect your energy as you're going through this transit. Don't put yourself in situations where you know you may be easily triggered anyway, let alone with the intensity of this transit that we're all experiencing at once, at an already extremely highly intensified season of the year. Okay, so you'll have the intel, you'll have more than enough, as a matter of fact, and then you'll also have your processor, allow your processor to get back online through the rest of the year with the support of Sagittarius to see the bigger picture in an optimistic view, but also to get stationary again by the first of the year, so that you can start off really and truly a new year, new you type of vibration, having knowing all that you need to know, and having the enthusiasm, the strength and focus and determination now in Capricorn to forge ahead however your spirit, your supreme self is calling you to do so. Okay, so no pressure, no worries, no fears. It's all happening for you, whatever it may be. You're not crazy. You're not losing it. You're not having a mental breakdown unless you are. And then I definitely say seek support for that for sure. But for the most part, if you can stay 10 toes down in your reality as it is, you can still feel your connection with what you know to be true, regardless of any projections otherwise. You're okay. All right, and you'll be okay. Just let the dust settle and clear, and you'll know exactly what to do with all that you know. All right, so with all that being said, let's see what's on the bottom. You're okay. Four of Swords, prayer, meditation, rest. Don't be afraid to overindulge as much as your senses are calling for you to do so, to maybe stay at home and not necessarily go out to that party, particularly Christmas, New Year's Eve, the heightened energetic times of this season. I'm not projecting to anyone to just be a hermit holistically. If you feel like you need to be around family and friends, there's no better cure than when you're around those that you truly love and that love you and you feel safe and secure with. Go ahead, enjoy yourself. I'm speaking to those that are conflicted about the preservation of their energy field, their energy source and force, I should say, and the protection of their energetic field in one way, shape, or form. And it's no shade to anybody else. It's not like, I can't be around them, because it's not that. I'm not coming from that either. But it's just really knowing yourself, knowing what you need, knowing, and no one else can tell you what that is, especially not now at this time. If your mind and your spirit are online and in alignment together, it'll be a very clear conversation as to what you're feeling and what definition you can give to that feeling, and then how you need to respond accordingly. It's a very fluid conversation, okay? And otherwise, you'll be over talking or overpowering one or the other, and that's where you run the risk of putting yourself in a detrimental position to be triggered, or to just kind of, be out of your element, or just feel, just to feel off balance. And with the intensity as it is, as above, so below, as within, so without, that's just the last thing you need to do to yourself, that isn't already happening through you as is. Here's the Emperor card. Four of Cups, control, definitely. I'm here, and here's the what's up here with this? The Ace of Wands. Maybe this is either two things. Matter of fact, and I'm gonna put him up here. This is either two things: you holding the seat of power and control, taking your power back, to take precedence in the decision making in your life. As I said, not letting no one else take that seat. You know what I mean? So masculine or feminine, this could be an expression of that, where you're saying, I am a sovereign being, autonomous, and these are the things that I'm deciding to do for the best interest of the preservation of my power, right? Here's the Four of Cups, where you're saying, now in this regard, I feel like this is speaking to another energy of a powerful being or someone in a powerful position that has been fixated on asserting power in a certain way for some intended result, and has been doing so for a long time, and rejecting spiritual presence within that essence and within that ambition. That's the other side of this, right? But if I'm taking it at face value pertaining to you directly, it's you now reclaiming that power that is organic to you, and not relenting or submitting that power to any other force, person, place, thing, ideal. Like I said, not allowing anything conflicting within that conversation between your spirit and your mind to trump what you know is the truth for you, So there's that. So we're going to get into what this energy is, but I feel like it's somebody that's been trying to abuse their power or over assert their power. And I really, really, really don't want to vie into this energy too much. I feel like even in regards to my readings lately, it's like I'm always trying to go in this positive direction, and it tries to veer it off into, really to the left. I'm trying to go right. It's trying to take me left. And it's like, at this point in time, what more is there to talk about? You're going to keep doing doing what you insist on doing. Apparently, there's still a refusal to be nourished by spirit, to accept spiritual presence as paramount power over, this carnal ambition, over ambition, dare I say, and ego, even more so. So there's this drive to continue to persist in this way of total dominance that has proven itself to be faulty even when it was successful, because even though these powers that so-called be or want to be have had to employ their tactics persistently, because there's no it's not eternal. The impact is not eternal. It's not even long lasting. There's a lot that has to go in to particularly, trying to keep the masses subservient. It's an all hands on deck 24/7 type of job. And it's like, these individuals want to be God so bad, not even just individuals, but this entity, this spirit that uses individuals as toy soldiers to some degree, wants to be God so bad. But it's like you working way too hard for a position that you're clearly just not qualified for at this point. If it were that easy, you wouldn't really need to go so hard. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how I feel about it. What's this? Yeah, they're just trying to find the next opportunity to impose some opposition, but ultimately, like I said, judgment. The spirit ain't having it. There's no other way in except through the spiritual realm, and the forces even in the earth that be divine are aligning and awakening and aligning every single day. More and more people are answering their call and operating in it wholly, literally, and completely, and are not afraid as much to step out into the light, as I said, and to connect with others. That was another tactic employed by the adverse energy to make us afraid of each other to some degree, afraid of connecting. But ain't nobody scared no more. It's like like I said, come what may at this point. What's this? I feel like something is here. Yeah, the Hierophant, these energies. Well, look, Wheel of Fortune, the powers that were are having to evolve. They're having to face their own mortality. Yeah, because people are not having it anymore. Where there was the intention to impose distrust for our own autonomy and a dependency on the powers that have positioned themselves to be in authority, the tables are turning. You know, that wheel of fortune is turning, and people are evolving to see the value in their own autonomy as authority and are not relenting to the fear of anything outside of themselves, including death itself. You know, that not even that can be held over the head of divine people anymore. So once you can strip that away, what else? What are you gonna do next? You know, like, what are you gonna do next? I don't know. It's like, enough is enough. Like, when is it gonna be enough? When is it gonna be enough? Can we ask that? Is that something we even want to talk about right now? Let's just see what else we get on the board. I feel like it really is already, but it's just even the illusion of feel of the projection that, no, we ain't done yet. We still, you know, we're still working hard. We still got control. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm gonna leave it. It's over. Still, like, we ain't done yet. We still got another trick up our sleeve. It's like, no, you don't. It's being flooded out, and look at this, Ace of Swords, and the truth of who you are is coming to light. Whomever you are, working in corroboration with this energy, this entity, these secret societies, these covens, these corporations, whatever they pose themselves to be, it's like you're gonna have to find another way. And I dare not say that it's completely over, because I don't even think that that's prophetically sound. You know, maybe it is, I don't know. I mean, it is, because in the end, it will be, you know what I mean? But in terms of the present moment, there's definitely a culmination that's happening now. Look at this, with this crossover moment, even, where people are definitely reaching the destination of their desirability, whether it be, you know, dreams fulfilled, hopes realized, partnerships united or elevated, visions materialized, fortunes fortified, you know what I mean, legacies and dynasties established or continued and strengthened in some way, shape, or form. So that's happening, which is why I'm like, why is it that there's still such a persistence, like a determination to, it's like as if something more happens beyond that. And maybe it does, you know, maybe even after the establishment of the divine order as it is designed to be, by way of, say, that Wheel of Fortune, that balancing of the scales where everyone more or less gets their just due, there still may be an uprising or a last stand, or, you know, a reemergence of the adverse energy after that. It's just, at that point, I'm just like, why would it even bother? And then how would it bother at that point? Because then the structure of kingdom ordinance would be so strong at that point that why, like, you know what I mean? Like, what would really be, it may be something I need to just get into myself. Yeah, the structure from a interpersonal perspective, relationally, but just contracts, even within spirit itself, literally spirit and truth here between the cups and the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Swords, that it'll be so strong and solidified that with evidence, material evidence at that point, at the point that I'm speaking of, that what could even be the opposition's force at that point in time, so that's why I'm like, is it even you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like the ultimate illusion is to make us feel like we're never done, like there's always yet still another day to fight, another battle, the war isn't over. It's a never-ending cycle, and even to have us to be within the spaces of of celebration and fortune and fortitude and success and all the wonderful things that are due to those that are in alignment for it, to still kind of like almost have one eye open all the time, for there to be some some adversary on some threat, I should say, to that experience. Even that in itself is a tactic, perhaps, that would depreciate the value of our desires, even as we're in real time experience. You know what I mean? I hope you understand. I'm trying to work it out. But here's the Sun card. It's like, I feel like there's something here, and I may not be able to work it out in this message, but there's some illusion that needs to be put to rest, or gets to be put to rest, even for us now, that, because it's like, there's no doubt that something amazing things are happening. The only contention is the materialization holistically, full fruition. That's literally the only thing standing in the way. So if there's still this projection that, well, even when you get it, then what? You know what I mean? And you still got to protect it, and they still not safe. And then this energy, the devil's always going to be lurking, and you're never going to get rid. It's like, is that the case? Is that true? And if not, what gets to be put in place? I mean, and if so, if it is true, what gets to be put in place to cover all grounds, so that we do not depreciate the value of our celebratory experience as we're living it, as we're having it, and yet still have security measures in place for future generations. And the Sun is still here, for future generations, not to ever have to return to this mental, physical, or spiritual space of being ever again, of despair. This is taking a turn that I anticipate. And like I said, I don't think I'm going to get it in this message, but it's something to think about, I feel. Probably why I need to get into Revelations and stop playing, so I could see what opens up for me holistically, prophetically. Yep, exactly. It's funny. It's funny. And with the Ace of Pentacles, wow. Yeah, that's the key right there. That's the gift. Wow. This is like the unveiling of prophecy, that gets to be. It's literally spirit and truth, with the high priestess who's in divine alignment, and the King of Swords who's intellectual, cerebral, and all, in a proactive sense. You know what I mean? Like, very intentional about seeking knowledge and understanding. And this is like the secrets of that knowledge. So some to be intentional about seeking divine secrets, like something that is sacred knowledge. There it is, sacred knowledge. And that's why the Ace of Pentacles because that's the gift. That's the true value in this realm. And my head is just starting to I'm getting this little pain on the side of my temples out of nowhere. Interesting. Let's go a little bit further. Wow. And I feel like this is that, I'm kind of jumping back and forth because for me, like I said, it's been a tug of war, and it's almost what it's been even in truth, where the higher we as divine beings begin to ascend and expand, these dense energies want to counteract with other distractions. It's like even with the King of Swords and the High Priestess, this is someone who's looking to see behind the veil, that lives there probably, as a matter of fact. And it's not always, the knowledge is sacred, but it's oftentimes not something that you can get from a book. You know what I mean? It's not as practical as, say, the King of Swords come from. So it's here's the face off yet again. The Emperor with the death. It's imposing this energy of mortality, impressing the obsession with it onto the masses so that becomes a distraction. This King of Swords wants to impress this projection of I want to say ingenuity, but it's it's a limited ingenuity to some degree, because like I said, who cares if you're highly intelligent and well learned or educated or even have a certain insight of even life experience if it's still just limited to the 3D realm, if it doesn't expand beyond that, if it doesn't have a greater reach or a higher, so it's I'm still feeling a contention here, which is interesting that I'm pulling 2 and 2 to some degree. And then here's the Knight of Cups, which is the offer of some lesser, a lesser expression of spirit. It's not the Ace, it's not even the King. It's some mid-range type of, concoction of nourishment, or I don't even know what to call it. You know what I mean? It's it may help quench your thirst for a second, but it's not eternal. It's not the water. It's not water that is, I don't know. I'm having a hard time really putting it into words right now. Okay, for instance, so it comes out with the Tower, right? It's what's this 1 cup of water, if it even is that, going to do for this burning tower? It's not going to put that fire out. It may even be gasoline in that cup for all we know. You know what I mean? So it's what I'm feeling is that the energy that's being created in the realm, there's an impact that's been made in the realm, even the tower moments themselves, how everything appears to be going to shit, that's been imposed from an external force that means to be detrimental, right? And then the remedy for it is something that is not sufficient, and probably actually going to add to the problem as well to some degree, if that makes sense. It's Towers, chaos induced, and then doused with gasoline, which speaks to the energy that we're experiencing of this current state of affairs, not just in the nation, but globally. This has been induced from a spiritual nature, as a matter of fact, from higher powers and entities that, as I said, meant to be a detriment, but it was created to cause chaos and confusion to then, or something may be about to occur, I don't know. But whatever it is, it's this intention to cause, to incite a spirit of dependency on the system itself or on the powers that be themselves, so that there's like this insurgence of control all over again, because people are becoming a little bit too independent and too curious and too mystical and, getting too big for their britches, quite honestly. So this is the induction of chaos that continues to occur. But what's going to happen with this? Because no way in hell I'm going to sit here and call this into existence. Where's this tower going? I feel like it's exactly. I was just about to say it. I was like, I feel like it's well aligned with where it's come from. Yeah, because that's where we're headed. They think that they're going to spoil this happily ever after for those that are in alignment for it, with the induction of chaos, confusion, or just disturbances to life in general. But there, like I said, it's like the bottom is going to fall out here with the tower very well placed here with the Emperor and the King of Swords. It's not going to be what was intended. With the Seven of Swords always meets his fate somewhere. Exactly what he's created, whatever disturbances he creates, it usually catches up to him somewhere down the line. And in this realm right now, probably more immediately than what's anticipated. See, and that's the thing. It's like there's an intention to cause a disruption and a delay, because I feel like the grip of power is very clear that it's loosening up. So the efforts now that persist as to why I'm like, why even do this? What's the point of this now? It's just to try to delay as much of the inevitable as possible with the World card here. Because you can't stop the world from revolving and rotating, no matter what source you may align yourself with, unless you are the Almighty, really and truly, which we know that's the ambition, but certainly, at least as of now, not the acquisition for sure. Otherwise, there would be a different outcome in the world even now if that was the case. But it's still the foolish ambition, dare I say, of these so-called powers to want to acquire. If they can't have it the way that they idealize it and feel entitled to it, any impression or impact will do at this point. Misery loves company. Somebody's going to get taken down for something, but I don't even think that's going to go the way that it's planned. It's like, what's on the other side of this tower? Let me see. Oh, what's that? Yeah, them. Like, no. The real, look at this, the High Priestess and the Hierophant, the authentic expressions of divine people have emerged. It's like this is the fake ones and these are the real ones. So those that are taking up space as divine beings, or taking up the space that divine beings are entitled to, whether it be energetically, physically, or otherwise, however that gets to be, it's like they're being thrown from their ivory towers. Yet, literally, I didn't even see this, the Wheel of Fortune. It's not going to be what it's not what they thought. It's not what they thought. I don't even understand this energy. I don't understand it. Is it just a matter of really of foolishness, or is the ego that deluding? It must be that. It got to be that. And I know that these tactics have been successful for longer than I've been alive, and I'm sure that you've been alive, but to not see the handwriting on the wall at this point is what is the point that makes me feel like, is there something that I'm missing, or do you not live in the realm that I'm living in and see this change of events that's happening? That you may still be able to cause a great casualty to the masses that may not be so well aligned, unfortunately, but what's really desirable is to make an impact on a more divine level, or a more elevated level. It's like, I don't understand why, because once a person is awakened to who they are, at this point, like, you couldn't kill the spirit if you tried. The spirit will always be eternal. The energy will never die, even if the body is eliminated. So that means that at this point, with the level of ascension that has been acquired in this breath of reality, even as it already is, it's enough to have changed the fate of what was intended beyond the most pronounced ambitions. Because, even for me, for instance, my imprint is already made in this realm through my son, through people that I've engaged with, whether or not they received me or not, whether or not they still, there's still a physical connection there. The imprint, the seed's already been sown. And the things that I've done, the impressions that I've made, even on like strangers at this point in time, or people in passing, or acquaintances, that there is an impact that is undeniable, irrefutable. You can't erase it. You can't take it back. Once you know me, you can't not know. Period. And I say that, it may sound a bit arrogant to some, but I walk with the Spirit of God on my sleeves, my heart literally on my sleeves, and everything that I do. So once I express myself or engage myself in a particular way with any person, place, or thing, the impression is pronounced and profound, whether even you realize it or not. So it's kind of like, I know I'm not the only one. That's the check of my ego. You know what I mean? That I know I'm not the only one. So with that being said, if there are more and more of me out there, then that means there's more and growing and expanding and evolving day to day. Then there's more opportunity for these types of impressions and impacts to be made, which means that, like I said, you could blow the whole world up and still not kill the essence of the spirit that is pronounced through the beings that are conduits, that more or less are conduits and surrogates to some degree of source itself.